In this video, we're going to be looking at derivative from first principle, which is using this formula, f prime of x equals to the limit as h approaches 0 of f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. So I did a separate video for what does this mean for the limit as h approaches 0 for this average gradient, which is f of x plus h minus f of x all over x plus h. And just a simple intuition here is just that x here is just replaced by x plus h. So even like at the bottom, it's more like we have now the new points, which is x is to f of x, and then the other point, which is x plus h. When you replace x with x plus h, is to what, f of x plus h. So this is the first point, maybe point A, and then this point is A prime. Okay, so if you are getting the average gradient, you know that this is y2 minus y1, which is f of x plus h minus f of x, then all over the denominator is x plus h, then minus what? Minus your x, and then this x cancels that x, and then you have all over h. So that's the basic of how this comes about. So now we're just going to go straight to our practice problems as well as our examples. So for examples, we have linear, and then we have squared, and then we have cubed, and then we have rational expressions, which is 2 more like 2 over x or a over x. So now we're just going to get to our examples, and then after an example we do a practice problem. So I will have, as I have f of x, which means what I'm left with is finding f of x plus h. So I will replace x by x plus h. So for the first one, which is f of x equals to 8x, so we're going to have your f of x plus h equals to your 8 into what? Into your x plus h, and then this is equal to your 8x plus your 8h. So we're going to have f prime of x equal to limit as h approaches 0. So we're using this formula above, but we're just substituting. So f of x plus h is going to be right. So f of x plus h is 8x plus 8h. Then we're going to subtract f of x, which is 8x, so minus 8x. So we're going to divide by h. So what we notice is that this 8x and then that 8x, they cancel out. So what we are left with is limit as h approaches 0 of what? Of 8h all over h. So what we see is this h is going to cancel that h, and then the final answer is 8. So that's it for the first one. So now let's look at the practice problem, and I hope you pause the video and then come back to it to check your answer. So we have f of x plus h is going to be equal to minus 3. Then instead of x, you're going to have x plus h, and then plus 3. So what we're going to have is minus 3x minus 3h, then plus 3. So now we're going to find what f prime of x, which is the derivative. So we're going to have the limit as h approaches 0, then of f of x plus h minus f of x, so it's minus 3x minus 3h plus 3. Then if we are subtracting, we want to subtract this f of x, which is minus, into your negative 3x, then plus 3. So what we notice, okay, fine. First, I'm going to divide by h. So we divide by h. So what we notice is that this negative 3x cancels out with that positive 3x, because it's positive when you multiply by a negative sign there. So this 3 cancels out with this 3, because this is negative 3 and positive 3, they add up to 0. So what is remaining is the limit. So it's the limit as h approaches 0 of what, of negative 3h, then all over h. So what you see is this h cancels that h, so you're going to have negative 3. So you're going to have negative 3, which will be our final answer. So now we're going to get to number 2. Let's look at number 2. So we have f of x plus h is going to be equal to your 2. Then we substitute x plus h instead of x. So we have 2 into what? Into x plus h, then squared. So this will be equal to 2. So you square the first one, you double the product, and then you square the last one. So we square the first one, which is x squared. Then the product is x times h, which is xh. Then you double the product, so you have 2xh. And then you square the last one, then you have h squared. So now you have 2x squared, then plus your 4xh, then plus your 2h squared. So now we are good to go to finding the derivative. So we have f prime of x, which is going to be equal to limit as h approaches 0 of what, of f of x plus h, which is 2, which is 2x squared, then plus your 4xh, then plus your 2h squared. Then what we are subtracting, 2x, so it's minus your 2x squared, I mean, minus 2x squared. Then this should be divided by, so divide by h. So what we're going to have is that this is going to cancel with 2x squared, and negative 2x squared, they add up to 0. So what we have is the limit as h approaches 0 of 4xh, then plus your 2 plus the 2h squared, then all over h. So this is going to be equal to limit as h approaches 0 of what, of h, then into your 4x plus your 2h, then all over h. So what we have is that this h cancel with that h. So what is left is your limit as h approaches 0 of what, of 4x, then plus your 2h. And then this h is going to go, this 2h is going to go away, because when you substitute 0, actually when you are approaching 0, this becomes 0, and then you are left with what, with 4x. So like, it's more like you are substituting h being 0. So finally you have this being equal to 4x. So we're going to look at what is a practice problem for it. Now you can pause the video and then resume it after you completed the practice problem. So we have f of x plus h is going to be equal to your negative, then 8. Then instead of x, you're going to have x plus h, and then squared, then minus 3 into x plus h, and then plus pi. So this is going to simplify to negative 8 into x squared, then plus your 2xh, then plus your h squared, then minus your 3 into your x plus h, then plus pi. So finally we have minus 8x squared, then plus then minus 16xh, then minus 8h squared, then minus 3x minus 3h, then plus pi. So this is our x plus h. So now we're going to find what the derivative. So we have f prime of x is going to be equal to limit as h approaches 0 of what of f of x plus h, which is negative 8x squared, then minus 16xh, then minus 8h squared, minus 3x minus 3h, then plus pi. Then we're going to subtract what f of x. So when we subtract f of x, we have negative into what negative 8x squared, then minus 3x, then plus a pi. So these will be divisible by what? Those will be divided by h. So what we notice is that this negative 8x squared is going to cancel that negative 8x squared because it's going to be positive after you multiply it with a negative sign. And what you see is this negative 3x is going to cancel with negative 3x, because that negative 3x is becoming positive 3x, then positive 3x minus 3x is 0, and then that pi with that pi. So the simple way to think about this is that every other term that doesn't have h in it is going to fall before this step, because before this step you should have terms with an h so that you can take out a common factor h. So we have h into what we have here is negative 16x, and then minus your 8h, then minus your 3, then this is all divisible divided by h. So what you see is this h cancels that h, so what is left is the limit as h approaches 0 of what of negative 16x, then minus 8h, then minus 3. Then if you substitute h equal to 0, you can see that this negative 8h goes away. So what you are left with, you are only left with minus 16x minus 3 being the final answer.